Welcome everyone, I'm Pat Mitchell. Joining me as always is Adam, and we are going to be having a discussion and getting to the truth behind the trade with a member of ours, Toby. Toby is a very new trader. He's also a fairly young guy. He's 23 years old. His father's actually a member in the room as well, so it's always nice having family in the room. I think that can work against traders as well. Now that I'm, talking about it and thinking about it, it could be like the blind leading the blind. And I know that's not a nice way to put it, and I don't mean it to come off that way. But sometimes that can happen when you bounce ideas off of each other. If you're like in close quarters with someone, that's why I've never been like a huge advocate of like trading buddies unless they've already been through education and everything else. And I'm not saying that that's the issue that's going on here, but it is something to note that if you are in a household that's full of traders, either your husband, wife, son, daughter, whatever it is, whatever your situation is, just be mindful of that. Be careful of that. So just to kind of set the tone for this episode, these are a lot of the same issues that we see pop up time and time and time again when it comes to new traders. It's nothing really new. So it's kind of easy to tackle on our end. And I think, like I said, it'll be really beneficial. So keep in mind, Tricktrades has the no trader left behind guarantee. We've talked about this before. So members are well aware that we're taking their afternoon or late morning session trading clinic. It's all included with your membership. We dissect the issues that some may be having. We don't want to have any traders left behind. So that's why we do this. And then Adam and I come in afterwards and we kind of dig a little bit deeper, get to those root causes of those issues. So that's the truth behind the trade. Okay, so I'm going to play a clip right now, and we are going to, it'll give you an idea of what's going on here. So let's rock and roll.
So it says, I feel like I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing, yet I continue to fail. Most of my bigger losses were because I didn't understand how we were supposed to risk with one contract, but that has been cleared up now after the clinic. I'm getting frustrated being stuck in wheelhouse one, and the frustration comes from not knowing what I am doing wrong, and I don't know where my issues are and what I need to work on. My good days are really good, and my bad days are really bad.
Okay, so what this is and what Kelvo, our afternoon or late morning moderator, is talking about here. So he's reading what the clinic request form, like what he believes his issues are. And this is a real common issue with new traders. And let's start here. So what happens when we first start getting into trading? And again, remember, Toby's pretty new to this. No matter what we have as interests in life, like let's say you pick up a hobby and you kind of dive right in, you can generally pick it up pretty quick. Day trading is very different. There's always a major disconnect between traders and understanding how long this takes, especially that beginning phase. An analogy I like to use for this is if you were to get dropped off in a foreign country where they speak a different language and you have no prior knowledge or education in that language, let's say you don't speak Spanish and you get dropped off in Central America. Are you going to be able to communicate really well, fluently? No, probably not, right? That's what's going on here. I equate this to learning a new language because that's what it is. And a lot of traders, they will kind of brush over that. And we all know going into this, usually within the first couple of weeks, oh, this is a lot harder than what I expected. This point's kind of hard to put across because I really need to hammer this point home. We know this is difficult. We know it's going to take long, but yet a month or so into your trading career, you're already getting frustrated because you don't know. This is the process of it, guys. It's not that he hasn't been told or shown. We have a video lesson library of 140, 150 video lessons. Not only that, we whittle it down into the bones section. The bone section and the boot camp is designed for bare bones traders at Tricktrades. It's all there. But what I'm getting at is you can go through all the video lessons, all the educational material you want. But I want to set the tone for you guys and let you guys know that yes, this is normal. He's frustrated. He doesn't know what he should do. But the thing is, at the end of the day, he does know what he needs to do. It's just frustration and emotion taking over. This is why we focus so heavily on this sort of stuff in these videos. Okay. So now let's go to the next video and see what we got here.
And that is something I did want to mention, is that I default to being a perfectionist and holding myself to standards that are unachievable.
Okay.
And I've worked with that in other areas of my life too. But yeah, and I have heard you talk about, if you have just a negative mindset going into the market, that you're, eventually it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely will be.
Okay, so we're going to get into, there's a second part of that clip here. The first part of this clip with Toby is in his day-to-day life, he always defaults to being a perfectionist. And you can tell even just by the way he speaks, the way he kind of carries himself with his voice, he probably does have confidence. He carries himself well. He seems like an intelligent kid. He wants to strive for perfection. We've discussed this a lot. Perfection in this case, in the case of day trading or trading in general, will absolutely destroy you. Perfection is not needed at all. In fact, perfection is going to hold you back. So it's one of those things as well that as a brand new trader, these are the things. So these 5 things or so that we're going to go over, these are the things that are holding you back. Okay, so number 1, not understanding that this actually does take time. And it's not so much not understanding. I don't even want to put it like that. It's kind of a weird one. It's about giving time to work. It's something that I say all the time. Now, struggling with perfectionism as well is something that people need to work on. And I think what will work on all of this is this right here. This video that Adam and I did it's 4 words, okay, that people they really need to accept these words and think about these words. And go ahead and watch this video. I highly recommend it. It's such a great video and it really puts things into perspective. I just want to stop here for a sec before we get back into this and discuss thinking. Okay, I know this is going to sound weird. It's going to sound goofy, but hang tight. Bear with me here. If you're generally a person that maybe you're not like the philosopher type, the thinker type, well, as a trader, you need to. And I'll tell you why. It's not even for the act of trading. It's to work on yourself. There's a lot of things that you may come across, maybe people will say, and if you don't take the time to actually think about it and soak that information in, it's going to go over your head. Like, it's not going to help if you just don't really take the time to understand what's going on. So what I generally do, and I know Adam does this as well, if a thought pops in our heads, we'll take that time. We'll set aside 5 minutes of complete quiet and actually think about that. So we just made an adjustment to our sizing strategy, which is the Tricktrades Size Up app. And it takes you from a $2,500 account all the way to an $18,000 account. And it started out in 6.7 months, and we're making adjustments. And then we got it down to 5.5 months. And now we're at 4.8 months because of these little adjustments, because of all the data and information that's coming in, because a lot of traders this is showing to have a lot of success. One of the tweaks that we just made at first glances, it doesn't seem like much, right? And I told Adam, like, before you answer, I want you to really think about, like, just sit and think about the thought and the tweak, right? And he did, and he came to the same conclusion I did. There's brilliance there. There's genius in that tweak. It seems so simple. I even said it in chat yesterday, and I made the announcement to all the members. I'm like, okay, so now in Wheelhouse 1, which Toby said he is getting frustrated that he's still in Wheelhouse 1. And this is before, so this was recorded on Wednesday. And yesterday, being Thursday, is when I made the announcement that I actually took down the amount of time that you need to be in Wheelhouse 1. It's less amount of money that you need to make in wheelhouse one before you jump up. And it works out to like 12 or 13 consistent trades is what you need to get bumped up, because there's a whole system there, right? And I knew it. I even told Adam, I said, guaranteed, as soon as I say this, you're going to have members typing in chat, oh, thanks, that's awesome, that's so nice of you, and all that sort of stuff. And as soon as those messages started pouring in, as expected, I said, careful what you wish for, because it comes off really easy, and it doesn't matter. It's not about the amount of trades you take, right? Or the amount of money you need to make. If you're not consistent, all you need to make is like $112, $113 before you get leveled up to the next wheelhouse. Doesn't sound like much, does it? But if you don't have consistency, you'll never get there. It doesn't matter if it is $100, $1,000, or $10,000. Consistency is consistency. There's a beauty in that because it's such a small amount. So inside of a trader's mind, it's going to be, oh, no worries, no big deal. That's going to be nice and easy. But it isn't. In fact, it can be even more frustrating because it's so close. It looks so close, but yet so far away. There's always a lesson in what we do at Tricktrades. Like nothing is ever just base layer. Like there's more to it. And the reason why I do that and Adam does that, starting to implement these changes, is to get traders to think, like peel the layers of the onion back, no matter what the thought is. It can be a simple thought, but if you start peeling it back, you understand that there's actually more to it. If they don't actually take the time to think about it, the lesson is going to become lost on them. It's all mindset. Even the issues that Toby is having, it's all mindset. It's perception. We're going to get into more where it's like, you really need to correct that. So let's get back into that. I'm going to go back and share the screen and let's see where it takes us.
Yeah, I would agree. And I definitely, I feel like I've gotten okay at getting rid of the emotion on the entry side of the trade, but on the exit side of the trade is where all my emotion comes, because I'm just so relieved that it's a green trade. Then I just want to take it off and capture the green, exactly like we were talking about yesterday.
Okay, so we discussed this in the last episode. It hasn't been put out yet. Member John was having the same issues. And the reason why traders do that, it's that kind of like debt mentality. You know, Adam actually he's got a brilliant theory about this, and he goes into it in that episode. So when we release that on Monday coming up, I really hope people watch it, because what he's talking about is we get told to, have credit cards and you get rewarded, and, to have that credit card. And at the end of the month where you pay, so you're so used to living in debt, that debt is good, red is good, that you feel rewarded when you just get back to break even, when you make that monthly minimum. There's more to it than that. And Adam obviously goes and says it a lot better than I just did. But that's what's going on. It's a debt type of mentality that people have, that they're so relieved, right, to be green, that they forget to actually work the trade the way that it's supposed to be worked. And that's what's going on here. That's another thing that a lot of new traders will do as well. It's one of those things, and that's the root cause for those of you that want to know, that always say, why are my wins smaller than my losses? My losses are always way bigger than my wins. That's why. That is the root cause, because you're living in a debt type of mentality and a debt mindset. And if you don't solve that, you will always do that. But it's about understanding, which again, that video that I pulled up on YouTube there, that video discusses 4 words that people really need to understand, and they really need to think about. And it's a great video that'll help you guys out with that. So to bring it back to me now, because it's always about me. Once I decided that I had enough of living like that, and I've talked about this a lot, I went from $30 to $1 million in 365 days. That's how powerful that video is that I'm talking about. When you actually switch your mindset, all of those problems go away, folks. And you may think I'm just selling you blue sky right now. Well, hell, this is a free video, and I'm not selling you shit. This is facts. From $30 to $1 million, not made, and I didn't get any of that money in the fucking bank, in 365 days. Actually, it was under a year, but I'll call it a year. Just by switching my mentality and not living the way that we are brainwashed to live, starting to do things the right way, the opposite way in many cases. Negative self-talk is something that a lot of people do. They don't realize that they're doing it because it's just small little things during the day, right? Like you'll walk outside and instead of saying, it's like, man, what a beautiful day. It's like, oh man, that sun's brighter. Oh man, it's fucking hot out. If you're constantly negative, what do you think that's going to do? And especially when you take it to the next degree of severity, which is when you are saying like, man, that was stupid of me doing that. You just called yourself stupid, okay? When you're a new trader and you're writing down notes, now you're not even just saying it, you're writing it down. Do you understand how powerful that is? You call yourself stupid or a fucking idiot or whatever, that's what you're going to be. It will become self-fulfilling, and people need to understand that. Now, let's take it even a step further. As a new trader, are you expected to be perfect at all times? No. I've been doing this over a decade. Am I expected to be perfect all the time? No, it doesn't work that way. One of the things that I used to do for our mentoring members, and I used to hold one-on-one clinics, very similar to this, what Kelvo's doing. And I used to run them every Saturday. And I would have members come in with a trade that they thought they did well on and a trade that they thought they did poorly on. Okay. A good trade and a bad trade, to make it real simple. And not what I would be expecting to be a good trade or a bad trade. I wanted them, and I made that really clear. Do you know they would come back and it would actually be inverse, right? A lot of the times when you're new to this, you think that a trade is bad or you did something stupid or you were an idiot because of XYZ. It's just that the trade didn't work. Again, it's one of those things that you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people have a hard time with that at the beginning of their careers. And some people will never get over that because, again, they're never working on themselves. It's important to watch how we talk to ourselves, especially at the beginning. Again, how can you be perfect? How can you be expect to be perfect or really even any good at this right off the hop? That's such a disconnect from reality. You know, you'll see, and one of the problems is with trading is you'll see people on social media, or maybe you know somebody, work with someone that just got into trading and they made 100 grand on a trade. But if you break that trade down, money doesn't equate whether it's good or bad, right? Like that's just luck. Well, do you want to live your life through luck? A little luck helps from time to time, don't get me wrong. But we are striving for professionalism. And a professional is never going to speak to themselves that way. And it's important to really hammer this home. No more negative self-talk, guys. You got to cut that shit out. It will absolutely destroy you. There's going to be no way, it'll be impossible for you to progress if that's how you talk to yourself. Your mind, your subconscious will never allow it to happen. What Kelvo's about to say here, well, I'll let him say it, and then we're going to talk about this because this is where it all kind of comes around.
I'm not cut from the right cloth to be a trader, right? It's very easy to say that to yourself, isn't it? Well, I'm just not cut from the right piece of cloth to do this. Some people are, some people aren't. I'm obviously not. I can't do this. I'm failing.
So what Kelvo's talking about is he's taking that first part that he's talking about from Toby's trading clinic request form. And again, that is that self-talk, that negative self-talk, guys. You know, I'll give you an analogy. No matter what professional sports, maybe you watch, maybe you don't, whatever. But do you think that a UFC fighter, a cage fighter, goes in to fight any championship fight or any fight for that matter, walking into that cage saying, I'm going to get knocked out, and then think he's still going to win? No, of course not. If you go walk yourself into that cage, you walk yourself into that market, and you constantly tell yourself that you're going to get fucking KO'd, what's going to happen? You're going to get KO'd, right? So that negative self-talk, guys, you got to really cut that out. Even the slightest bit of negativity, you need to cut that shit out of your life. Again, it's like walking outside, and the first thing you say is, oh man, that sun's bright. It's a beautiful fucking day. What are you talking about? You're going to complain about the sun? Or it's too hot, right? Or the road's bumpy, or whatever, right? Like, what are we doing here? Like, live your life. Everything cannot be a fucking complaint, right? So now this next part, Kelvo's going to talk a little bit about himself. And I've got something big to talk about on this.
I had to adjust that mindset in order to adjust my trading results. I had to start telling myself I can be successful. I had to learn to love myself a little bit. And I think it's very important that we all learn to love ourselves a little bit, and we all start thinking with a very, very positive mindset that just because results aren't going in the direction that we want, it doesn't mean we're a failure. It means we're trying. And as long as you're trying in the right way, you've got to be able to big yourself up a little bit and convince yourself that you do have what it takes to do this. You do have what it takes, that you can do this, and you will.
So the one thing that Kelvo is leaving out on this is years ago when Kelvo came in and he was just a member of the room. And then obviously he showed some signs that obviously I wanted to have him as a moderator. And so I brought him into the company as well. But the one thing that Kelvo's leaving out on this is, so I got pissed off at him one day. I finally had enough of his negativity. He was constantly, saying that he was doing stuff stupid and this and that. Another thing he was doing was living in hindsight, not just in trading. And I don't mean your typical guru type of hindsight calls. It's not that. It's just living in hindsight, constantly saying, oh man, I should have done this or I should have done that. Well, I had enough of this shit. So I called him and I freaked out on him. And I told him, like, enough is enough, dude. Like, I'm so sick and tired of hearing you're fucking pissing and moaning and you're complaining all the time. And then you wonder why you're fucking struggling. It's like, cut that shit out. It was a real harsh, truthful conversation. It was right from there. And sometimes that coaching style works. It works and it's effective on certain people. Sometimes people need a wake up. A lot of people sometimes don't understand why I may curse, why I may get combative with people. There's some people that they will only respond to that. It's difficult for someone to soak in or remember something if that pain or that shock isn't there. That's why I choose to use the words that I do sometimes, right? People at first glance is, again, that base layer thought, thinking all the time. They think it's just, oh, he just curses a lot. It's not that. When you use certain words at a certain time, that will soak in. There's probably, out of this entire thing, you're probably going to remember 5 different things about this video. And it's generally where there was some shock value to it, right? The part where I just clapped, maybe where I cursed, maybe where I was a little louder. That's why you're going to remember that sort of stuff. And that's what I did with Kelvo. And since then, it's been an upward trajectory because that's what people need, right? They have to cut this shit out. And that's what you guys need to do too. If this is what you're doing, you're constantly being, you're having that negative self-talk. You need to have some self-respect because that's what it boils down to. If you don't have self-respect, you're not going to make it anywhere. Why do you think 1% of people are successful? Because 99% of you are fucking sacks. You want to wallow in your own misery. You want to piss and moan. You want to blame others. Do you think the 1%, the ones that you blame for all your fucking problems are the problem? Or do you think you are the problem? And that's the truth of it, guys. And I can tell you what, like I said earlier in this episode, that's what happened. That's what took me from $30, my last 30 fucking bucks, man. That's what I fucking had. From $30 to $1 million in the bank in 365 days. When I decided I had enough, I was disgusted with myself acting like that, constantly blaming others, the whole nine. Everything you name it, I did it. just like the majority of you are probably doing. If you're constantly spinning your wheels, not just in trading, I'm not even talking about trading right now, I'm just talking about in fucking life. If you're constantly spinning your fucking wheels and you can't get anything done, you got all the bad luck in the world. You know what my fucking mom and dad used to say all the time? And it was funny. I was talking with a friend of mine who's also a member, Michael Rourke. But his mom used to say the same thing that my mom and dad used to say. It's the Rourke curse. It's not. There's no such thing. Just like my mom and dad used to say, oh, it's the Mitchell curse. What is that shit? It's so fucking, that is nonsense. It's nonsense. And then you grow up hearing that sort of shit. So now you have an immediate out, don't you? You have an out. You've got an out because if anything bad happens, that 99.9% of the time is self-induced, you can say, oh, it's the Mitchell curse or the fucking Joe Blow curse or whatever fucking bullshit excuse you're telling yourself. It's time to actually grow the fuck up and start taking accountability for your own life and your own actions. Once you start doing that, the sky's the limit. That's how the 1% do it. That's how they got there. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that were born with a silver spoon in their hand. There's a lot of self-made motherfuckers out there, and that's how they did it. And if you were to interview 100% of them, that's what they will say. They probably just started out like how you are and how I started out as well. Constantly digging at myself, saying I'm not good enough, or oh, there's an excuse for this and an excuse for that. Oh, the fucking government, oh, the banks, or oh, the law, or whatever. It's all self-induced, guys. When you're looking for an excuse, you're gonna find one. I see it all the time on social media. Oh, the color of my skin. Oh, the religion I have, the whatever. It's a fucking excuse. It's got nothing to do with the color of your skin, where you're born, race, color, creed, religion, anything. It doesn't matter where you're born in the world. None of that shit matters, right? Like it doesn't. What people do is they will use that as a crutch, as a way out. And that is their fucking excuse. That's what it is. It's all excuses, man. I don't subscribe to any of that bullshit. Are there people out there that are have more advantages in life? Absolutely. I wasn't one. I grew up with fucking nothing, man. Nothing. And there's a lot of you out there that have way more advantages than I did. Once you get rid of that fucking thought process, guys, the world is yours. If you only understood how fucking easy it actually is once you make that decision to have the world by the balls and live a life of freedom where you literally there's such a small portion of the people on this planet that get to live like that. If you guys only knew the half of it, of how I live, it's fucking ridiculous. Why? Because I changed this. It has nothing to do with the trading. It's got nothing to do with the technicals or the fundamentals or any of that shit that you guys want to focus on. It's got nothing to do with that 500% trade. Oh, you got a stock pick for me? What are you, fucking stupid? Come on. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Wake the fuck up. Start doing something with yourself. Start thinking more positive and this shit will happen. Like that sort of stuff gets me riled right up because it is nonsense. You got a fucking video there with less than 430 views that will actually change your motherfucking life. That's what it'll do. It'll actually make you money. That video will make you $1 million in time. Plus, sky's the limit. But you need to put in the work and you need to stop going after things that are a complete waste of time. Are you someone that watches 12 hours of fucking TV a day? And then you have the fucking nuts to complain about your living situation. You fucking sack. Come on, guys. It's time to wake up. Look at the world that's around us, man. It's scary right now. And I'm positioned well. Why? Because I knew this fucking was coming, man. You guys got to be able to see this coming. We've all said it for years. So position yourself now, right now. And you know what? If it doesn't get all crazy, so be it. You're still positioned. Nothing can touch you in this world, man. If you get your mind set straight, period, full stop. And that's what people need to start doing. No more negative self-talk, guys. That is going to fucking wreck you. On that note, folks, have a good one. Sorry, Adam. Adam's just been sitting there all nice and quiet. Okay, guys, I'm going to rock and roll. Hopefully you guys listen to this one. Adios.